Whenever someone decides to speak out about a gacha game and gives valid criticism, an army of virgins with Cheetos sticking out of their belly button comes to the defense of the multi-billion-dollar corporation.
Leave my precious alone.
Criticism is rooted in reality and provides suggestions that are overall positive that should be taken into account to improve the game. The response is always, "You're just a dumb drama farmer." This label no longer has any true meaning in the gacha community. See, the thing is, providing criticism for a multi-billion-dollar corporation is not drama. It's trying to ensure that consumers are being respected, something Hoyoverse fans seem to not enjoy. It might be like a kink or something. This negative reception of people's efforts to improve the game creates a toxic environment and enables mediocrity from the company, and that is exactly why Hoyoverse gets the most criticism of all the gacha games currently. Hoyoverse lacks on delivering positive quality of life in a timeful manner, predatory practices despite the game states being at an all-time low, rampant power creep. I mean, the list goes on and on. Keep in mind, they are the most influential gacha company in the space. A lot of people are going to copy what Hoyoverse does for how much money they've generated. Little quick history lesson. Genshin Impact within its first year made $2 billion with only the development cost of $100 million. HSR within the first 2 years made $2 billion, along with Zenless Zone Zero making $445 million in the first year. The company is averaging roughly around $1 billion USD on their launch year for each gacha game they create. When you are recognized as a top 15 private company with an evaluation of $23 billion, I think it's safe to say that consumers like myself should expect a game that respects the consumer's time, money, and deliver patches that are meaningful and not just to squeeze me of every single dollar I have. Now, the main reason like someone myself would criticize any of the Hoyo games is simple. I truly think Hoyoverse has the capability of making a game that can have a perfect balance of gacha alongside with amazing gameplay qualities and genuine longevity. However, they do this thing where they kind of just fuck everything up. And even when they admit to their faults, community somehow wants to argue with you and say that you're wrong when you're just repeating verbatim what the devs had said. Yeah, I don't know, man. That new Genshin trailer was cool, but based on the fact that they've done a pretty messy job with telling the story, I really didn't understand it. You should fucking kill yourself.
Your life is nothing. You serve zero purpose. Kill yourself now.
The pattern of each game somehow dropping in a state where it looks like it has a bright future, then they just rip the rug from underneath you. Genshin launching as the first AAA gacha game had unlimited potential as it was a Breath of the Wild clone. Multiple controversies such as lackluster anniversary rewards, 10 pulls when they made $2 billion in the first year is insane to me. No meaningful co-op, lack of endgame, blatant disrespect of players' feedback. People were now begging for other gacha games to come out of AAA quality and knock Genshin Impact off its throne. The term Genshin Killer was coined as a sign of desperation. Obviously, nothing would actually EOS Genshin, but competition was needed. Even with the most recent dev talk of them implementing a time skip button as opposed to an actual skip button, there's pushback. Yes, you heard me right. I said a time skip button. I had to double check that because I didn't know what the fuck that meant. Explaining on Twitter just how I'm confused that after $9 billion, we don't have a skip button in Genshin while Zenless Zone Zero and HSR have a skip button, which is very normal of Genshin Impact to get none of the quality of life that the other games get.
You guys all think you're so much better than me.
Oh, Meg, that is the least fancy thing I have ever heard.
But I digress, and I was met with the typical, why would you want a skip button in a story game? Or, you know, the quick, they simply don't want to appease you retard. Just take it easy, man. I'm just talking about a skip button. I don't know why I gotta use that word on me, big fella. That one hurt it, though. Problem is, this is something the community continuously says, and whenever someone brings up the idea of a skip button. I was watching PyCon's video, and there was tons of people in the comment sections and on Reddit talking about how they truly believe a skip button would somehow ruin the story experience for people. The thing that's ruining the story experience is cutscenes like this.
A single one of them, get away!
No, please, spare the children. Just stay back.
They're coming! Run!
Help!
Eliminate the threat.
What the fuck is this shit, brother? $9 billion, by the way, just off of mobile. Instead of people trying to talk about the genuine lack of care with their storytelling, the dialogue bloat, characters having the same 3 positions every time they talk, they draw the line at a skip button. Oh no, Timmy, you didn't know the Traveler came on a spaceship and now you don't understand the new video? At Grok, time to turn him around. Why are we focusing on such a small quality of life? This is why the company gets criticized. Really, nobody asks for this. But when people are out here crying and screaming for a big quality of life change, they completely tune it out. Selective hearing is pretty common when you're on your 7th yacht in the middle of ocean or surrounded by nuclear power plants. I cannot justify spending up to $400 on a character in this game when 5 years later we're still getting dog shit choices such as locking movement behind payment walls, dog shit cutscenes, messy portrayals of the lore, massive FOMO with banners such as Malvika Sitlali running at the same time when in the same patch 20 free pulls were locked behind the next banner cycle. Can't in good faith to look you in the eyes and tell you that everything's fine, because it's not. This is why they're criticized. The game has made billions of dollars, and even the last year they've found a way to quadruple down and be even more greedy than ever before. And the next big topic of conversation would be Honkai Star Rail. Honkai Star Rail launched with nothing but positivity surrounding it. Not only did it attract old Honkai Impact 3rd players, all 3 of you guys, but it targets a whole new demographic of people with the turn-based community. And I'm going to be honest with you, Honkai Star Rail was a great entry point into the genre, as it was very easy to understand gameplay-wise, boiling down to pretty much matching the colors of the characters, as well as understanding the path system. You had your sustains, your buffers, your DPSs, etc. Now, Honkai Star Rail had some of my personal favorite moments in Gacha history, genuinely, with Belobog. Belobog tells a touching story, which cultivates into one of the most peak fights I've ever had, with best soundtrack ever being the Cocolia fight. I truly loved every single moment of this. Even during the 1.0 era, there was some controversy surrounding the game. Things such as Silverwolf's release being able to implant weakness on one enemy, which is kind of just, you know, surpassing the mechanics of the game, but it wasn't the biggest deal because it was one enemy. Power creep discussions with Bibbidi Libbidi dropping, as well as Jing Liu, and a couple of other things. Hoyoverse did a really good job of building good faith in the community. Things such as dropping a free 5-star like Dr. Ratio, giving a free 10 pull every single patch. People were not too concerned. Hoyoverse is going to find a way to make everything fair and keep it level-headed and balanced. Holy fuck, were we all wrong. Penacony, what was supposed to be the celebration of 1 year, took a turn for the worse. The story quest got so much longer compared to what we had before. The full Penacony storyline was 20 plus hours, filled with dialogue bloat, tons of scenes that could have been cut out, and at some points felt like a complete companion quest when you're just sitting there playing as a Venturine. And while there were some genuine good moments in the story, it just felt like a step down presentation-wise from Belobog. I mean, the last act was such a chore for me to complete, I was fucking falling asleep and just so frustrated with the whole experience, looking at the same picture for 1,000 years while dialogue was going on. By this point in time, the game has already made close to $1 billion. We're sitting here with so many still images to explain what's happening. They could just fucking animate it. Like, are you fucking kidding me? It's insane. But if you said anything at the time during 2.0 or 2.1, everyone would call it Pikakoni. You'd be attacked instantaneously because they wanted a fucking Venturine. I mean, I do too, but it was ass. It felt lazy and we were just moving backward. Meta-wise, the game was turning into a fucking disaster. As fast as Jing Liu and Bibbidi Libbidi and Sparkle and a couple of other characters came, they fucking left. The release of Acheron, who could literally just ignore every mechanic in the game. Releasing a character so powerful such as Acheron in itself is not always the worst thing ever, due to the fact that, hey, listen, this is the anniversary unit, they're gonna be broken, this is not gonna be the new baseline, it's all good, we don't need to worry. Unfortunately, not only did Acheron raise the floor to the damage ceiling, but she was actually the floor for the damage output into the game. Characters such as Firefly, Fei Xiao, Rappa, broken supports like Robin, Sunday, the meta was moving so fast, as well as the HP inflation got to the point where you felt an extreme amount of FOMO when they're dropping almost 2 new characters every single patch, and each subsequent 5-star is going to either match Acheron or possibly even better. The Monkey Quest. Are you fucking kidding me? Xiaoji wrote this? The one revered writer of the Himiko storyline of Honkai Impact 3 wrote Banana. Go fuck yourself. But as everyone knows, the 0.0 patches are always the best time to address any type of criticisms and negativity in the game. And so people were hopeful that these problems would be fixed. And then the 3.0 story dropped and it was fucking 10 hours long. How do you make a story that's half the length of Penacony? And it's just one chapter. It's the beginning chapter. And yes, somehow the storytelling legitimately got worse. If we look at a comparison, 1.0 characters had more movement movement in their dialogue lines than 3.0 characters. Not only was the dialogue bloated to fuck all, but the characters won't even move, and as Gacha Smack said, the cameraman just kind of left the camera there and walked away. Considered as a great story and concept, and execution was literal dog shit. The reaction was so negative that there was an emergency dev talk to address the players' concern. Now, I will say this was a positive. This was a very fast turnaround for Hoyoverse to address something, and so I had faith. You read the article, they talk about how they're looking to buff older characters. They're going to remove excess puzzles, add more camera cuts to make the story more dynamic, etc. All of this sounds great. Well, Ethan, when is it coming? In 6 months. But hey, don't worry. Now, obviously, things take resources and time and coding, and I get that. I'm with you. You know, I'm not a game dev or whatnot. I went to community college for 2 days and dropped out. It is what it is. But what I found very interesting was the 3.2 patch, where the game was in quite possibly the worst state it's ever been in, and they decided to drop Castris with a global passive. This was my personal breaking point. The game is suffering from the most amount of HP inflation we've seen. The meta is moving so fast. The story feels like a soulless, just dialogue bloated soap opera. And they decide to create the best looking character at the time with Castris and add a global passive that allows you to revive every single unit on the team, even if Castris is not in your party. Something that should be so cut and dry as to a negative and should have been removed, because yes, it is a genius business move, but it's a horrible move for the consumers. Well, people were against it.
Why would you remove the global passive? It's honestly great. There's nothing wrong with it. I think this is amazing. You're telling me that you don't want to buy a character for $400 to get a free revive?
In normal fashion, everyone, including myself who spoke out about this, was yelled at and told to go fuck themselves, right? Because people don't seem to understand, once again, Hoyoverse sets the groundwork for all the gacha games coming out. If they see that they're able to make 100+ million in one banner, which they did, by the way, just on mobile, off of a global passive, what makes you think that they're not going to now, and eventually one day down the road, create more impactful global passives and lock it behind paywalls? And then other companies are going to take that and turn it into something even more. Pandora's box was open. Again, the community should have the reaction of, no, we don't want this. Well, they said,
wow, thank you so much, Dawe-kun. I really love this. Give me a kiss on the mouth. Gulp, gulp.
He ain't taking you on your yacht, little bro. He ain't taking you on the yacht, little bro. Sit the fuck down. And then Zenless Zone Zero. The thing with Zenless Zone Zero is when the game launched, the biggest problem was TVs. The game was too easy. It was just a button mashing simulator, and the TVs were so abundant. Despite the disastrous launch of Zenless Zone Zero and them pretty much making almost to little to no money than they expected, they had to finally shift because their wallets were hurting. So the second you stopped giving Hoyoverse money, in real time you saw that they had to pivot and make some valuable changes. Now, before I go into all that, there was some good stuff that came out of ZZZ 1.0. The storytelling is by far the best of all of the Hoyoverse titles. It had comic book strips, it had great cutscenes, very animated and expressive models, honestly probably the best models in the gacha scene at the moment. And so while there were some negatives, they had that leg up on Genshin and Honkai Star Rail. 1.4 comes out. This was their soft reset. They're gonna take away their TVs, they're gonna give you this powerful character. The game is gonna be peak. It's gonna be amazing from here. And then it fucking fell off a cliff again. It's like the pattern of delivering something great and then they just let go. They just stopped putting in effort. And storytelling has went down substantially. The story was boring. Nothing ever has stakes. Same bullshit, yada, yada, yada. But people were excited for 2.0. As we know, the 0.0 patches are the most important. Quality of life, right? 2.0 comes around, and what did Hoyoverse decide to do? Strip the game of one of the most unique things that they have, and that's their storytelling. With a 5-hour plus story, we got 6 minutes of cutscenes, 2 comic book panels, 40+ black screens, and a whole lot of horseshit. I don't understand. Once again, this is supposed to be their biggest patch, their most important patch, their second soft reboot, and they stripped the game away of elements that made it fun, that made the story exciting and enjoyable. But what they did do is provide a mechanic called May. miasma and miasma, which is a special shield applied to enemies. And they also sold the easiest solution to miasma in the same patch. Their patterns of continuously giving you a product and getting your money, as much money out of you as possible, and developing that parasocial relationship between the sick fucks who play the game. And then once they get all that money and they feel they milk the general audience as much as they can, they strip away every single unique aspect of these games, and then they're left with the weirdos who will defend the game until the day Hoyoverse closes down as a business. It's illegal to provide criticism for Hoyoverse in their eyes, but it's needed. If the games were in a good spot, people would not be shitting on them. But unfortunately, all three of the big three are ass. And I wish they get better. I do. Because if people don't know, the gacha space is heavily reliant on the success of Hoyoverse games as well. Wuthering Waves can only provide so much content. That's just the truth. So hopefully that helps as to why people are so critical when it comes to Honkai Star Rail, Genshin Impact, Zenless Zone Zero, and all the gacha games, because I am critical of all of them, but these just have the biggest problems. That being said, I love you. See you in the next one.